Welcome to Zel Theory, in which we get deep and dark in the secrets of life. And I'm sorry I have to be the bad guy, I'll be that. Again, this is Zel Theory, and today we're talking about political discourse. Now, how political discourse has kind of gotten out of hand. As we see, Donald Trump is being arrested, apparently, that was supposed to be this Tuesday, but we don't know directly what's happening. And this made me think. When did this start? How did we get into this tribalistic behavior? One thing we could talk about social media, which we talked about earlier in section 230. And the other thing is just these little nitpicks. All of a sudden we start nitpicking you have to be perfect. You have to be Bill Clinton. And then we start realizing that people aren't perfect. Then we see Donald Trump when a guy who is manipulated throughout his whole life on how to get what he wants. Shout out to him. That's American way capitalism. But he manipulated his way into presidency. He got his way. He's a very good marketer. Not as good a businessman, but you can argue on that. But he's an excellent marketer. Probably one of the best marketers of all time because he can market himself like no one else. He had taken this populist approach to politics, which normally I think is a good thing. But in this way, his approach has caused, again, what I call tribalistic instinct, in which I am for America. I am a hero. I am the savior. I am the guy who will fix all your problems. And the other people are trying to stop me. They are evil. They are going against and trying to end every good deed that we do. They are opposite of us. They don't believe what we believe. Therefore, we have to take America back. And this causes tribalism, of course. When you hear that, you're like, oh, we want to go back to this era. When black people hear that, of course, we were sharecroppers and under Jim Crow, or we were slaves, unfortunately. Other people hear women like, oh, this is before women's suffrage, so you want to go back to that. Most other groups would be like scary of that. All the progress we made going back to homophobic, transphobic times. To some people that sounds good, but to a lot of people that's scary, right? And if you disagree with it, you are evil. If you are any form of disagreement, that's evil. Did that stop Republicans? No. Maybe it did. We have to deep dive into that on a personal episode out there. But Democrats also do it. If you don't do what we say, it's over for you. If you don't agree with these things, we cast you out. I said it earlier in the section 230 video. But in politics, it's even worse. Tommy Lauren, the one thing I did respect is that she came out of a conservative, it was pro-choice, in which she got fired quickly after. Why? Because you can't disagree. This is the theme of all these things. You can't disagree. You have no political discourse. You are evil if you believe in any of this. Not even a disagreement. And we often take the most minuscule things and argue about when there's literal policy that's affecting us every day. Most people can't even explain inflation to you. If I had somebody explain inflation, they'll just tell you, oh, when the price is raised. But how does that happen? If I put a bunch of money in a bowl and somebody took the majority out, the rest of us don't have as much. To the point where the person with more money had to print more money to make more money. That's when inflation happens. The cost of everything goes up. That's the main form of inflation. You also have product inflation, in which scarcity might happen and then it inflates the price, or certain things that happen that the price has to go up, like a recession or a depression that doesn't have to do with putting more money in. It just automatically does it naturally. Even though this inflation is more people get rich and I get poor. Because if you look at it, if you look pre-recession, a lot of CEOs was giving themselves massive raises while also letting off thousands of people. Like, how do you get a raise that's 4 times as much as what it costs to keep all these people around? But of course, that's another subject. Then you have Ron DeSantis, who is one of the proponents of confusion in my political discourse. Because I always had an understanding that conservatives were small government, liberals were pro-government. But it seemed like those lines are blurred and it become just completely tribalistic. Ron DeSantis has a bill that basically says he can run Disney. Now, of course, this bill is for show. He just basically took over the cities that Florida is allowed to take over anyway. And I don't even think Disney is mad about that, because if you read on it, they had a lot of trouble with trash and garbage pickup and all those things. And then he also said he said he doesn't like this bill introduced by lawmaker Jason Border, Senate Bill 1360, in which journalists would have to check in with the government in order to print out a piece if they live in the state of Florida. By the way, that's completely illegal. The government can't enforce telling people what to say or what not to say, which is also why the board that he created is a scam. It is, of course, not real, because they can't tell Disney what to do. They only can offer criticism or critique and offer their opinion on it. They can't tell Disney what to do. Trump had the same thing with Carrier and all that. But like, these little things are completely against conservative idealisms. So now I'm thinking that the political discourse just compared culture war. You're pro-trans or against trans. You're pro-critical race theory against critical race theory. Even though the majority of people on both sides don't understand what CRT even is. Which, by the way, is a lot of the CRT I agree with. Some of it is off. Some of it is kind of weird and overdone. But most of it is common sense stuff that probably should enact in all schools to everybody. But this is not just an attack on Republicans. I just noticed that part about Republicans. But Democrats have their own problems that I've spoken on many times. And I don't want this video to be too long, so I won't speak on it now. But this culture war will ultimately destroy America. And my theory is, how do we change it? Is it Section 230, as I previously stated? Do we have to look at ourselves? I'm going to give you my theory. If you vote every person out, despite political party, the country will be so much better. If you vote every single person out, that way the country know that we are not playing. It's time to get serious, implement some bills to change. But to be honest with you, most people don't want to change. Why? Because we're comfortable. I'm comfortable being this liberal who believe this because it makes me feel like a good person. I'm comfortable being a conservative because it makes me feel like I'm a good person. That person is evil. We want culture war. Why? Because we're a peaceful country. And human beings don't operate in peace too long. And if you want me to be the truth teller, I'll be that. We don't want peace. We always want war. And in peaceful times, we'll create a war. And that's my Zel theory.